Hello, this is Tom Cahill, and it's Monday, the 25th of January 2016. This is the Member Code of Conduct for NCAT, that's the New South Wales Civil and Administrative Tribunal, and this is the Member Code of Conduct. This was written by the President, so I'm just going to read it out. It's only 6 pages, it's quite widely spaced. And hopefully you'll see why this is relevant in the past. So this is just me reading it, okay? Member Code of Conduct. This Code of Conduct is issued by the President of the New South Wales Civil and Administrative Tribunal, pursuant to Section 20 of the Civil and Administrative Tribunal Act 2013, in brackets, the NCAT Act, and applies to all members of the tribunal, including occasional members. Purpose. This code seeks to provide guidance to members in the performance of their statutory functions as members of the tribunal, and to assist members in identifying and resolving ethical issues as they may arise. A further purpose of this code is to provide tribunal users with information by reference to which to assess members' conduct, upholding the objects of the NCAT Act. The objects of the NCAT Act include ensuring that the tribunal is accessible and responsive to the needs of all its users, enabling the tribunal to resolve the real issues in proceedings justly, quickly, cheaply, and with as little formality as possible, ensuring that the decisions of the tribunal are timely, fair, consistent, and of a high quality, ensuring that the tribunal is accountable and its processes are transparent and open, promoting public confidence in tribunal decision-making and the conduct of tribunal members. Members are to perform their duties and conduct themselves consistently with these objectives. General responsibilities. Tribunal members have the following general responsibilities, both in their activities as a member and in their personal activities. To uphold the law, including being aware of and complying with legislation dealing with privacy, discrimination, and corruption. Page 2. To uphold the highest standards of integrity, truthfulness, and honesty. Tribunal values. In performing their duties, members should at all times strive to give effect to the following values, which are derived from, in quotation marks, a guide to standards of conduct for tribunal members, revised August 2009, of the Administrative Review Council. Respect of law. Members should, while acting as tribunal member, and while performing functions associated with membership, demonstrate respect for the law in all its aspects. In particular, members should, at all times while performing tribunal duties, comply with the law in relation to the conduct of hearings, the determination of matters, and interactions with other members, tribunal staff, and tribunal users. Ensure that all decisions and determinations are legally and well-founded. Fairness. Fairness requires a tribunal member to make unbiased, impartial decisions and to give all parties the opportunity to put forward their positions. More specifically, members are to apply the law equally and act in an impartial manner in the performance of their decision-making functions, so that their actions do not give rise to a legitimate apprehension of bias or amount to actual bias. Advise the parties of any matter or circumstance which might give rise to bias or conflict of interest or a perception of bias or conflict of interest, and determine whether, in the circumstances, it is appropriate to continue to conduct or determine the proceedings. Refrain, other than a hearing or in exceptional circumstances, from any communication, either oral or in writing, or association during the course of proceedings with a party, legal representative, or witness, in the absence of the other party or parties or their representatives. Abide by the principles of procedural fairness, in particular by ensuring that parties have a reasonable opportunity to present their case and to answer the case against them. Be aware of and address appropriately barriers such as language, cultural background, lack of literacy, or disability, which are likely to impede parties in presenting their case. In addition, members should, if engaged in another profession, occupation, or business, take care to ensure that those activities do not conflict with or undermine the discharge of their responsibilities as a member. Refrain from engaging in partisan political activity which is directly related to the work of the tribunal or which may impinge upon the perception of impartiality of the member or the tribunal. Independence. Tribunal members are to perform their duties independently, free from external influence and free from the fear of adverse consequences. Members should not allow themselves to be put in a position where their independence may be compromised or be perceived to be compromised. Where part-time members have a professional practice in addition to being members of the tribunal, they will not be able to act for or against or provide services to individuals or bodies who are litigants before them in the tribunal. Respect for persons. Members are to conduct proceedings in a manner that is patient, courteous, and respectful to all parties. Witnesses, representatives, staff, and others with whom the members has to deal with. Bad English. That was I said that bad English is that's why I keep pausing because I've got mistakes. I'm getting back to it now. In particular, members are to demonstrate patience, courtesy, and respect in their own conduct and demeanour. Communicate in a clear, plain manner so as to be understood by the parties. Control the proceedings in such a way as to create an environment in which participants can and are encouraged to treat other participants courteously and respectfully. Be aware of and responsive to cultural and other sensitivities in relation to forms of address, conduct, and dress. Diligence and efficiency. Members are to be diligent and timely in the performance of their duties. They should take reasonable steps to maintain and enhance the knowledge, skills, and personal qualities necessary to the performance of their duties. In particular, members should conduct proceedings and make decisions with due rigour, diligence, and intellectual honesty. Perform their duties in the tribunal so as to resolve matters in a timely and appropriate manner, with a view to ensuring that the tribunal's proceedings are efficient, effective, and inexpensive. Provide oral reasons for decision where appropriate and deliver reserved decisions within the NCAT divisional standards except where the complexity or difficulty of the matter requires otherwise. Undertake and participate in professional development and training programs aimed at enhancing knowledge and skills relevant to their duties. Keep informed of developments in substantive and procedural matters within the jurisdiction of the tribunal relevant to their duties. Support and encourage, where possible, the professional development of colleagues. Become proficient in the use of and use where appropriate technology, including the tribunal's computerized case management system, digital provision of documents, the tribunal's intranet, digital sound recording facilities, and other technological developments implemented by the tribunal. In order to promote the efficient conduct of proceedings, members should clearly identify the issues and orders in dispute, facilitate the resolution of narrowing of issues in dispute where appropriate, adjourn proceedings only when necessary in the interests of justice and fairness. I'll say that again. Adjourn proceedings only when necessary in the interests of justice and fairness. Ensure that any interlocutory orders and applications do not unnecessarily delay the final determination of proceedings. Ensure that evidence is confined by reference to the issues in dispute, and is given as concisely as reasonably possible. Integrity. Members, in carrying out their duties as members, are to act honestly and truthfully. In particular, members must not knowingly take advantage of or benefit from information not publicly available, obtained in the course of performing their tribunal functions, not use their position as a member improperly to gain or seek to gain any advantage or benefit for themselves or any other person. Be scrupulous in the use of tribunal resources. Not disclose any confidential information otherwise than as permitted by law. Refrain from conduct which would bring the tribunal into disrepute. I'll read that one again. Refrain from conduct which would bring the tribunal into disrepute. Right. Accountability and transparency. Members are accountable for their decisions and action taken as members, and have a responsibility to be open and frank about the decisions, actions, and inaction in relation to their duties. In particular, members are to participate in performance evaluations conducted by the tribunal, cooperate fully in complaint investigations carried out by the tribunal. Responsibility of the tribunal head and heads of divisions. It is the responsibility of the President, together with the heads of each of the divisions, to assist members to comply with the Code of Conduct and perform their responsibilities as tribunal members. Through the provisions of appropriate training, leadership, and support. Particular issues. Gifts, benefits, and hospitality. Just let me check to see if it's recording and it started to rain. Right, gifts, benefits, and hospitality. And it starts to rain again, so I'll just plough on. Gifts, benefits, and hospitality. Where gifts or benefits are offered, or social invitations extended by parties or representatives in tribunal proceedings to members in their capacity as such, these should, as a general rule, be declined. If a gift is proffered to a member in his or her capacity as a member, in circumstances where it cannot be, or it is inappropriate for it to be declined, it should be handed to the principal registrar for inclusion in the tribunal's gift register and appropriate disposition, such as for a charitable purpose or for public display in the tribunal's premises. Right. Corrupt conduct. If a member becomes aware of an instance of behaviour that could be corrupt conduct, maladministration, or criminal conduct relating to the tribunal, the member should report it promptly to the principal registrar or the president, and also, if appropriate, to the Independent Commission Against Corruption. Post-service conduct. After ceasing to be a member of the tribunal, it is expected that a former member would continue to behave in a way that upholds the integrity and good reputation of the tribunal, would not appear before the tribunal as a representative where to do so would contravene the barrister's rules, the solicitor's rules, or any other similar applicable professional rules, would not use or take advantage of confidential information obtained in the course of his or her duties as a member. Complaints. Complaints in relation to members will be dealt with as outlined in the Tribunal's complaints protocol. Compliance with the Code. If a member does not comply with the Code, the President may direct the member to take specified action to rectify his or her conduct, or determine that further work not be allocated to the member until the breach is rectified. In cases of serious breach, the President may refer a matter to the Attorney General or recommend that the member not be reappointed at the expiration of their term. Whether such action will be taken will depend on factors such as the seriousness of the conduct in question, whether there is a pattern of such conduct, the intent of the member concerned, the effect upon the tribunal, or others of the conduct. The Code of Conduct does not stand alone, but forms part of the accountability framework within which both the tribunal and members operate. It is complementary to the tribunal's procedures and policies, including the member professional development framework and the tribunal's complaints process. The code may be reviewed from time to time to ensure its relevance. And that was written by the Honourable Justice Robertson Wright. So it doesn't give his first name, and I presume that Robertson Wright would normally be hyphenated, but maybe Robertson is actually his first name and his surname isn't Robertson Wright. And he's the president, and he wrote this on the 28th of August 2014, but this was on their website when I checked today as their code of conduct for members. And as I've said, my name's Tom Carhill, and the date is the 25th of January 2016, and it's a Monday. And if you want to find out where this is posted on the internet, or you want an actual copy of the PDF, that will be in the description. Thanks very much.